A gym locker room meet-cute, a romance sparked at a bar, a setup by an agent, celebrities marrying non-celebs is not quite all that uncommon. Here are just a few of those couples. If you're ever invited to a retreat with a friend, you'll know it might be a little, well, intense.
We're going on a retreat.
While it may be your natural instinct to say no, Gal Gadot said yes, and it's a good thing she went because that's where she met her future husband, Yaron Varsano. The actor told Glamour, "We met through mutual friends at this very strange party in the Israeli desert. It was all about yoga, chakras, and eating healthy." The Wonder Woman star and the real estate developer crossed paths at this party in 2006 and started dating shortly thereafter. By the second date, Varsano made sure that Gadot knew his intentions. "He told me on our second date he was serious and wasn't going to wait more than 2 years to ask me to marry him. Fast forward 2 years, he proposed. We were married in 2008. There's nothing better than a man who knows what he wants." Danielle Jonas met the oldest Jonas brother, Kevin, while in the Bahamas. The two were both on vacation with their respective families, which is pretty cute. Danielle was a hairdresser at the time, and Kevin and his brothers were in the early stages of fame. Danielle revealed to People that she was unaware of Kevin's fame when they met. She explained, "I didn't know who the Jonas brothers were."
When you and Kevin first met, you had never heard of the Jonas brothers.
Kevin knew he liked Danielle from the moment he saw her and worked hard to prove he wanted something long-term.
You say he was pretty determined?
Yeah, for sure.
It looks like those efforts paid off because the two got engaged in 2009, married later that year, and have since welcomed 2 children, daughters Elena Rose and Valentina Angelina. Seth Meyers is a comedy genius, best known for his time as host on Weekend Update for the sketch comedy show Saturday Night Live. The iconic show would eventually play a small role in how he'd meet his future wife, human rights attorney Alexi Ashe. Ashe and Meyers didn't meet on set, but without SNL, they may never have met. Ashe attended the wedding of fellow SNL cast member Chris Kattan with her sister Ariel, who worked in the set department for Saturday Night Live. Meyers also attended this wedding, and when he laid his eyes on Ashe, he knew he'd found the one. When Your Tango asked if it was a love at first sight situation, Meyers confirmed, "Yes, it was. I had a sense that she was the closest I'd ever met to someone who I could see myself with, pretty much right away." Jordan Fisher and his wife Ellie Woods have a ridiculously cute relationship timeline. The two met at a theater camp in Alabama at 13. However, their relationship wouldn't move past being just friends for quite some time. In a 2017 interview with J14, Fisher explained, "It took us a long time for all of a sudden, like a year and a half ago, we were kind of like, let's see what this could be."
I want to see if you can just react to what I do.
And that's exactly what they did. Fisher further revealed he was working on mega musical Hamilton, so he asked Woods to fly out to New York City so they could go on a few dates, and the rest was history. The two went on to get married in November 2020 at the happiest place on earth, Disney World's Magic Kingdom. The couple welcomed their firstborn, Riley William Fisher, in June 2022, just in time for Father's Day. Ed Sheeran and Cherry Seaborn have quite the history. The two have known each other since they were 11 years old, which is a ridiculously long time. They later attended the same high school, and Sheeran admitted that he had a crush on Cherry back then. The childhood friends reunited years later, Sheeran told Us Weekly. "One of our best friends worked on my tour, so when we came to New York, where she was living at the time, we hung out and reconnected."
I remember getting down on one, I've never told this story actually, I remember getting down on one knee, and her just being like, and I was like, "Marry me."
Next thing you know, Sheeran was writing songs about his relationship with Cherry. He revealed, "Perfect was the first song that I wrote for the album. It was inspired by Cherry." The grade school sweethearts tied the knot in a private ceremony in January 2019. This might be the most iconic celeb-normie marriage of all time, so it should be no surprise that their love story is also iconic. The legendary actor met human rights lawyer Amal Clooney at his own home in 2013. As the actor recalled to David Letterman, his agent told him,
"I met this woman who's coming to your house who you're going to marry."
That probably sounded unbelievable at the time, but look how things played out. George found himself falling head over heels. He revealed on the Smartless podcast,
I was sort of swept off my feet. We got engaged after a few months and got married within the first year that we met.
George and Amal Clooney are definitely proof that you just know when it's right, regardless of how long you've been together. Matt Damon's love story is perhaps one that could happen to any of us. That's because he met his wife, Luciana Barroso, at a bar. This truly might be the most generic way to meet someone, but it also has to be rare that you'd end up marrying someone you met at a bar. Barroso was bartending when she met Damon back in 2003. As she explained the incident to Vogue Australia after being approached non-stop by fans, Damon decided to hide behind the bar, and that's when Barroso put him to work. She stated, "I said, you know, if you're going to be back here, you can't just be standing there. He had trained as a bartender for a film years before, so he started making drinks." They hit it off almost instantly, feeling a strong connection with each other. The two went on to get engaged in September 2005 and then married that December. The moral of the story, the next time you go to the bar, know that there's a possible chance you might meet the one. Jesse Tyler Ferguson's Modern Family character Mitch met his partner at a charades party, but he met his real-life partner, Justin Makita, in a gym locker room. When relaying the story to Variety, Ferguson made sure to clarify they were both, quote, fully clothed. Makita stopped Ferguson to talk to him about playing Mitch. Ferguson recalled to Variety, saying, "I was taken by how handsome he was and how sweet. I started asking questions about him, and I think he was sort of thrown off by that and ran away from me." At the time, Makita was in a relationship. They stayed in contact online, and 10 months later, they were both at the gym at the same time, and this time, Makita was single. They started dating in 2010 and were engaged by 2012. In 2013, just a couple of years after New York passed the Marriage Equality Act, the pair tied the knot in Manhattan. While they were dating, they lobbied for the legalization of same-sex marriage in the U.S. Eddie Redmayne and his wife Hannah Bagshaw should be the blueprint for every friends to lovers story written from here on out. Redmayne and his wife met when he was attending Eton College, a high school in Berkshire, England. When Bagshaw and her friends were invited from a local all-girls school to put on a charity fashion show at Eton College, Redmayne caught her eye. However, this would only lead to the two being friends for a long time. That friendship enabled them to build a strong connection. He told Time Out magazine, "It's wonderful having a shared history and friends even though we didn't get together for 15 years." Redmayne and Bagshaw didn't officially begin dating until 2012, getting married soon after in 2014. The couple has since welcomed 2 children. Redmayne gushed to Baby magazine, "Marriage is the most wonderful achievement of them all for me because that has given me this platform to be a dad, the best dad I can be." Lisa Kudrow's character Phoebe on Friends was one of the last of the group to get hitched, with her wedding happening in the final season. Kudrow, however, got married to Michelle Stern after the first season wrapped. The actor met the French advertising executive in the 80s, but Stern was involved with Kudrow's roommate at the time. So that's awkward.
Oh, it's awkward. It's awkward. It's awkward.
It wasn't until 6 years later, long after Stern and Kudrow's roommate broke up, that the pair would start dating. They got married in 1995 and welcomed one son, Julian, 3 years later. In fact, as Bustle explained, her pregnancy led Friends writers to come up with the surrogate storyline.